We're going to get started in just a minute. I'm so excited because Kahoot is one of my favorite tools. My name is Beth Ritter-Kruth. I'm Director of Instructional Design, American Honors, the Innovation Center, and the Virtual Campus at Union County College. And I'm very excited to introduce Carmen Cruz-Torres. She's an assistant professor, I'm not sure in what, but I'm sure she's going to tell us, at Bergen Community College. And if you did not get these handouts, if you want to raise your hand up, Carmen, and hand them out to you. Okay. So go ahead, Carmen, take it away.
Hi, it's great to be here in Middlesex Community College with all of you today to share one of my things that I like when I do my teaching is gamification, where we take something in education, whether it's our lecture, and we find a way to make it so that it's fun for students. So a way that I've been able to do that is with the game of Kahoot. So today, not only are we going to play a small game of Kahoot, we're also going to be able to, hopefully be able to teach you how to create your own. And it's very, very easy. And I will tell you that the Kahoot company has lots of tutorials on their website. But my field is nursing education. I teach maternal child nursing. So some of the slides are going to refer to nursing because that's with my field or my specialty. So gamification is a teaching strategy where we try to use games again to have the same impact that students have, gamers have on games in the field of education. And basically we use it to motivate students, to engage students. I don't know who else in here has a 3-hour lecture. I have a 3-hour lecture, and that's a very, very long lecture. And even taking breaks, how do we keep the students engaged that whole time? It's very difficult. So it's not only a lecture. You're lecturing, you're stopping, you're showing a video, or you're lecturing, or you try different activities along the way. So we need to relieve that boredom from that traditional lecture and have the students actually engage with course content, because we know that learning can improve if students are really engaged. And another thing with gamification is you can use it as a tool for formative evaluation, right? So whether we use it to find out what the students know prior to the lecture as a pre-assessment, or you can do a formative evaluation of your teaching or what they've learned with games. So we know students are the digital learners. It's a concept of active learning. We see that in nursing practice, there's so many concepts that students have to learn, and I'm sure in your different areas or disciplines as well, there's concepts that they need to know before they move on to the next course and principles. And a lot of times students think that they're going to come to class and you're going to spoon feed them. But even if we spoon feed them, they're not learning. So this is a way that they can actually learn and retain the information. And one of the articles I found said that the students play first, understand after, and then they generalize as they attempt to apply. And in the field of nursing, a lot of the work that we do is application. We really have to facilitate and develop that critical thinking. For faculty, it meets the underpinnings of active learning, motivation, again, a tool for formative assessment. It kind of improves the social environment, learning environment as well. The benefits are you get repetition, right? You get the increase in recall. They can actually apply the knowledge, facilitate critical thinking, and also self-monitoring of their own learning. So students, as they play the game, they realize, wow, I really didn't understand that concept. And the good thing about Kahoot is that not only are you the game designer, you're also the administrator. So you can stop along the game and have maybe another student who knows the content give a rationale for that answer. And maybe they'll get it. They didn't get it when you said it, but when they hear it again, they'll get it. Okay, so this is just a little background on Kahoot. So in 2006, Professor Alvin Wong, he was a professor of technology and science at Norwegian University. He thought that he needed something, again, as a formative assessment tool. So his initial idea was to have some kind of lecture quiz back. So to give a quiz on his lecture to understand if the students really understood the concept. And later on, with his other co-founders, they developed the Kahoot game. And the Kahoot game is free for all classrooms. So it's something that we don't have to purchase. So as long as they're making revenue in the corporate areas, it's gonna be free for educators, okay? And again, it's a place where we can collaborate as educators as we create our own Kahoots, post Kahoots, and actually share Kahoots. And I'll show you on the website, some people say, oh, I don't have time to develop a quiz on my topic because I'm so busy. There's other people that have quizzes on the Kahoot platform, and you can see their Kahoots and see their questions, and you can use someone else's. So you're really able to share your games. Pedagogy, their basis is social learning theory and social constructivism, and we see a lot of concepts here that we hear over and over again. Collaborative teaching. We want to give the student ownership of their learning in an active way. Also, learning by doing, right? That experiential learning and lifelong learning. So there's a lot of good principles in pedagogy that relate to gamification. Okay, so why Kahoot? It's free, so you don't have to pay for it, right? You can use the quizzes over and over. So after you have a good quiz that you've created, you can use it as many times as you want. And I'll show you how many I have. You have public access to other Kahoots. So if you have someone in your discipline at a different college, like maybe somebody at Union Community College in their nursing program, we share some topics that we can exchange Kahoots. It's simple to use. They just need a device with an internet connection. And I'll tell you, most of our students have cell phones. So the minute that I say, oh, today we need our cell phones, the cell phones are out, right? You engage, and students, believe it or not, they like competition. They like competition. The thing about Kahoot is that they can use aliases. So nobody signal out, right? Singled out. So we had a student named Joseph, and his username was son of a shepherd. So that was his way of saying, I'm Joseph, but, you know, it was strange, but students, you know, and I have students that said, too tired, work last night. So, you know, they're able to make up different aliases. Some types they're very funny, or you can have them just use initial, or just use a first name. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and we're gonna go to this Kahoot.it in a minute. But basically, when you sign in, you're gonna get this screen here, and it's gonna ask you for the game pin, and then you're gonna enter the game pin, and then the second thing is to put in a name, and you'll see that in a minute. Okay, this is just how the screen looks like. So here is the time. So you're able to time your questions, so you can give them as many seconds that you think they're gonna need to answer this question. Who will win the Super Bowl? It's also inclusive to all students. So the phone is gonna look like a clicker or like a pad, and you're gonna see these colors and these shapes. So if you have a student who's colorblind, they can still make out the shapes. So it's inclusive to all students. Okay. Then, once you ask the question, you get the results. So this is a result of one of the questions, and you can see in what areas the different groups of students answered. You're only going to get a number, right? So this one says that one student got the right answer. Even though it was all of the above, they only put one answer. And then you get a leader scoreboard. So you're able to see, this one doesn't have names, so you're able to see who's doing well. And the thing is that they get points not only for answering the question correct, for how soon they answered it, right? So not everybody's getting the same amount of points. Okay, so this is just, in nursing again, we know that you can't just memorize facts, and I know that's for a lot of the humanities. You can't just memorize facts, you really have to apply the knowledge, right? Again, student nurses have to be able to apply these concepts to different nursing situations. So nursing is not black and white. A lot of times there's some gray in there, right? And again, I use it for formative assessment and readiness to learn, but you can use it also for review. So just before a test, you want to give a Kahoot to see if the students are ready, and you can use it as a tool for review before a test as well. My reflections on it, in nursing, we see that a lot of students do poorly on tests because they don't know how to apply the concept, right? They know the basic knowledge, but we're not asking them knowledge questions, right? We want to know application, we want to know understanding, and sometimes that's difficult for them. Again, like I said, I use lecture, PowerPoints, videos, case studies. In a 3-hour lecture, it's hard to keep them engaged. So I use this as my post-lecture assessment, and I'll show you. When I do the Kahoot, I usually use the first 20 to 30 minutes of each class. Again, my class is 3 hours. If you have a shorter class, maybe you just want to do 5 questions, in the beginning. They get 10 multiple choice answers. They're able to see on the smartboard how the results are. And I'm able to stop the game at any time. So after each question, there's going to be a pause, right? And then I can turn around and I can say, okay, who got the answer right? And you might have some students that volunteer, right? Because it's easier to volunteer if it's right. And then you can ask them, what was your rationale? What made you pick that answer? And then they give their explanation. And sometimes even that explanation helps the other student. Some of the rewards that I give, and I'll show you, I give them a rubber ducky. That's why they're a nurse rubber ducky, or a syringe pen because they think it's cool. But I think the best reward is that they do better on their tests, right? Or that they really understand the concept, right? And this is just, when I started this, it was spring 16. And actually, one of my mentors was here today, and she told me when she first heard of Kahoot, she came here to this conference, and she learned it. She brought it back to Bergen. I learned it from her, and now I'm back here, so we're like full circle now, right? We paid it back, right? So in the first section, I didn't do Kahoot. I did it for my second section. I give the same lectures, and I gave the same tests. And we saw that the students' grade went up a little. They were excited. A lot of times I would come in and they have their phones out already because they're ready to play the game. All right, so these are the rules for creating your own, but before we go to this, let's play a simple game. It's on holidays, so hopefully everybody relates to it, so you can get the student feel of it, right? So we can empathize. So we're gonna go to, on your computers, you're gonna go to Kahoot.it, and it's on this sheet, how to Kahoot. Oh God, no,
Just hit that, just hit it.
Just
hit enter?
Oh, just hit enter, yeah.
that would help, right? So on these sheets, you can actually reproduce this, and it has the student instructions here and the faculty or teacher's instruction on the other side. So if you look under students, you're gonna navigate to Kahoot.it, and I'll get the game up for you. And you You can also play in team mode, so sometimes when I have 40 students in a class, I make them into teams of 2. So then I know more or less, and you'll see as you sign in, we can see how many people are signing in.
What was the game pin though?
It's gonna come up right
Game
now.
pin?
This music is so annoying. But I love the game. I think I did the presentation on the picture.
Must have been like,
Like this? Outside. Or just outside, wherever it lands.
yeah, so once your name is there, like I said, you're the administrator of the game. So they can't move until you move, right? So we'll start the game. We have 6 players.
I'm trying to get in, it's just, my phone isn't being.
This is the biggest and brightest holiday in India, which is celebrated for 5 days. See on there.
I don't see different colors on them. Yeah, that's the color of the
Yeah, it's like, all you get is like a flicker.
Darn it.
So it was the Wally,
This is the first time I've.
and then we can see the leaderboard on here. So this holiday falls on December 25th each year to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. And then again, you get the leaderboard. Like I said, you get different scores because speedness counts. People travel to a home each of the 9 nights to sing, play, and based on
I guess that one.
So it's definitely Las Posadas, which is a Mexican holiday. So if this was any other content, you can ask someone who got it right to explain how they know the answer, you know? Or you can have someone who didn't get it right say, why did they choose Hanukkah as opposed to the other ones? Or maybe you'll find out that the holidays are similar, right?
Because I know what. Yeah, I'm finally on the board.
This holiday was created in 1966 to celebrate family, culture, and heritage. It's a Kwanzaa. Yay. This 8-day Jewish festival represents the rededication of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. And when I get answers like this, I tell the students this question was too easy.
Oh, okay.
Unless if I'm doing a pre-assessment, then I know I don't have to spend too much time on Hanukkah because they know it, right? On this holiday, people reenact the journey that Joseph and Mary made to Bethlehem. So I don't know if the Mexican hat in the picture gave it away, but when you have media, you want to make sure it doesn't give away your answer. During this holiday, lamps shine and rose, new homes and temples will glow. Holiday. I'm not familiar with the Wally at all.
Who's better?
During this holiday, people light the menorah for 8 days to remember the miracle of life.
See, I
You can
just.
change your answer though, like if you would change your answer, it'll take it.
Oh,
really? Yeah.
Oh.
Before the time
But
runs out.
I am happy to see you.
How much?
And
I am a
then,
gamer.
and then with each of the 9 nights of piñata shaped like a Christmas star is birth.
So it's like a left?
How much time do you get? 20 seconds?
You
Well,
said it.
you set the time.
Oh.
These, I think, are 20 seconds,
Okay.
and as everybody puts in their answer, it'll stop the time. So if everybody answers it in 10 seconds, that's all the question is. Yeah. So what symbols will you find in all of these winter holidays? All of the above. And then you have your leaderboard, which is the winning board, and these are the leaders.
Oh, you are.
So I have Christmas
And I can
M&Ms for the 3 winners.
Yay!
Christmas M&Ms on the way out.
Oh.
And that's what I do with the students also, you know.
Yes, prizes.
So now let's go to how to create one. So on your sheet, if you go under the teacher, you have to go to getkahoot.com. So Kahoot it's only so they can enter their name and play the game. So now you're gonna go to getkahoot.com and you're gonna sign up.
Does this work on all devices? Have you found a device that it doesn't work in platform?
Any device with an internet connection. Any device. They use their iPads, their
Right.
Chromebooks,
Okay.
their phones.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And while you guys are doing that, I'm gonna go to find the roots. And who teaches a different discipline? What discipline do you
It's
teach?
developmental Englishes and equity, yeah.
So is there like a concept or something specific that they need to know?
I have a lot of grammar on the basics,
So it's developmental English?
English writing. So like usage of apostrophes. I don't know if that's.
So I teach English, so what
Yeah.
I do is I'll put 4 sentences
Right.
where one of them is correct grammatically. I give them a little more time than we have for this one, because they have to actually read the process. But that, see, I do that as a pre-test and a post-test with Kahoot,
Okay,
and it's
cool.
really, really helpful. I just do 10 questions, or just for like,
Right.
whatever the concept is, comma,
Right.
semicolon, whatever.
This is cool. I currently just use Jeopardy because I didn't know about this.
This
Yeah,
is fun,
you wanna
it's
sign
great, and you
up
can
to
save
create
them, and then
an
you can
account.
compare classes to classes,
Oh,
because you have the results and stuff.
Mhm.
There's also a way to
So-
color code stuff, which I don't understand.
There are some quizzes on here
Okay.
for developmental English.
Okay, okay.
And then you can show answers and you can look through. This one looks like it's on spelling
Uh-huh.
of some words
Okay.
that might be similar. So if that's not what you're interested in, you would try to narrow it down
Okay.
and see if you find it. You know, if someone else, what does someone else teach?
Psychology?
Psychology, a concept in psychology,
Learning?
learning. Well, let's do psychology. Is it like psychology 101?
That's good.
Let's see. So here's a few on psychology, and you can, all you do is click on it, then show answers, and then you'll be able to look at the questions on here. So the first one, condition leads to consistent feelings of sadness, worthlessness, and no desire to have fun. And then it looks like the answer is depression from the ones that are there. What is the manual that aids psychologists in diagnosing a client? And the DSM-5 is So you can actually browse other people's. So if there's like a concept or a principle, when you make your own Kahoot, you also want to make the title something that's searchable. You know, because then it's easier for other people to share, if you want to share it, because you can say you don't want to share it. You know, I guess in maternal child, my concepts are a little different. So I have postpartum, pediatrics, antepartum, you know. So those are concepts and terms that are easy to search. So once you sign up, all you're gonna do is you're gonna hit that new K, that new Kahoot. And I gave you, one of the handouts was a template. And you have all these options. You can do quizzing, you can have discussion, you can have survey. So if you wanna do like a poll everywhere type of survey, you can have it on Kahoot here. Jumble is a brand new game, and it's actually pieces. And I could see myself using it in nursing because you can do sequential ordering with a jumble. And you can use pictures, so you can have, like if you're reading a story in English, you can actually have pictures and have them put the pictures in order. So jumbling is a new one. But if we go to quizzing, which is what I do, you get this screen here. So you want to put the title, you want to give a description, and you can make it visible to you only or visible to everyone, and that's the sharing piece. Okay? If there's a book that you use, you want to make sure that you credit it, so you can credit the resources there. I also teach a first year experience course for students that want to go to into the health professions. So almost like that Success 101 course. So I always credit the book because I get most of their questions from there. You can add images, you can add video, audio and video also. So if you have, let's say, you can put a picture up there, like if your discipline is art or something where you use a lot of visuals, you can have the picture up there, and maybe your question is going to be related to something in that picture. And then you can make the answer choices, you know, I don't know, in art, what period was this painting in? Renaissance period or whatever it is, and then they can choose it that way. So once you fill this out and you go here to OK Go, then you'll get a screen where you can just start putting in questions.
Do you sign up with Google or sign up with email?
Either. I think you can sign up with either.
Okay. So I'm here.
Where is it, Jen? Oh.
Yeah, you can sign up with either one you choose. I use my email. I use my school email.
Okay.
It has a couple of questions like what's your school, what's your discipline on there.
Very good.
Then when you sign in then again, your menu will say who's there for you?
Right, so when I sign in, this is my sign in here, and I go to my Kahoots. These are all the games that I have
So,
on here.
all right, so then
So you
if
can
you
play
play
with-
one, it launches it and gives students that code.
Right, so as soon as I launch it, they get the code. But again, you're the administrator, so they can't move on until you move, you know? So you can have good pauses, you can have good dialogue, you can go over misunderstandings in the lecture or misconceptions in the lecture, so they can get all cleared up.
And it's personal in your Kahoots unless you made it
Right,
public
so,
or-
right, so when you create it, and it's for each specific quiz. So each time you're gonna get that screen, and it's gonna say, And it's gonna say visible to me or visible to everyone.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
How do you specify the right?
I'm doing jumbo.
Right, so jumbo's a little different.
Oh, well.
This one. So this one, they're all right, but they have to put them in some type of order.
Oh,
That's a jumble. That's a little different.
oh, okay, so it's like a sequencing.
Yeah.
Let me see it. I'll see if I can pull a jumble up so you can see it. And the good thing is that the company's always coming out with something new. So they also have a feature, so if your students all have phones, you can actually assign a Kahoot as homework, right? So you can assign it for homework, let's say over the weekend, and your lecture is, let's say, Tuesday, right? So then, let's say you make it available until Sunday. So you can actually see if they know the information beforehand, and then you can tailor your class accordingly. Because you already did an assessment of their knowledge or of their reading. You know, and we know a lot of them don't read anymore, right? They don't read. They come to class and they don't read. And I'm like, I could see in my first year seminar course where they don't read, but you have to read if you're going to be a nurse. You know, we're talking about maternal child nursing. Let me see if there's, I think there's a jumble here that we can look at. Actually, if you hit the fact button and you go to help, you have all these resources here available to you. So there's tutorials on most of these, how to host a game, how to play in a group setting. So there's a lot of different tutorials. Library. The library also has all the video tutorials, has a getting started guide. So the website does have a lot of resources for the educators. On here, let me look at it. And the biggest thing is make sure you save it. Right after each question, you save it. One time I did one, and after I was done and I'm ready for the class to take it, I realized I didn't save it. And I did call their support, but if you don't save it, there's no way they can retrieve it. So you have to at least save the title, save some parts of it.
How do you go back and change your subject? I made a mistake and clicked on social studies.
For that Kahoot.
Yeah, let's bring it up. Just to reset. What is it, social sciences?
So go here. So are you looking for someone else?
Or like socials,
Go here.
sociology.
And then right here, sociology.
Okay.
Does anybody need help with anything? It's very simple, right? I think the work is getting your quiz the way that you want it, and then after you have it, you can play it over and over, so then the work is done.